Hey guys, it's Dylan. So sorry for missing episodes earlier this week, but I spent some time in the ER. Yes, I will be just fine, but I am still recovering, so that's why there will be no video of me today. But a lot to get to today. So first up, you can see from this Reddit post this picture of why these edge cases for solving for true autonomy is going to be way harder than most people think. There are just so many odd and rare situations like this that will eventually have to be solved for, so just something to keep in mind. And yesterday, you probably saw the news. Tesla eyes over $1 billion worth of Australian critical minerals per year. Tesla said it expects to soon begin buying more than $1 billion per year of Australian lithium, nickel, and other critical minerals for its batteries and engines. Robin Denholm said Australia has the minerals to power the renewable energy age throughout the world in the coming years. Tesla already sources 3/4 of the lithium it uses from Australia and over 1/3 of its nickel without specifying a dollar figure. And a harsh reminder for us EV advocates, to put it a simpler way, EVs account for less than 1% of vehicles globally at the moment. To reach net zero emissions, that needs to be a lot closer to 100% within 30 years, which would be a 100-fold increase ahead just for vehicles. Robin said the shift would, by 2030, generate a global lithium-ion battery market of $310 billion, which would be 8 times the revenue generated by Australia's coal exports in 2020. And in a response to a tweet with a Reuters article of the same topic, Elon confirmed that's where we get most of our lithium. Also, whereas phone batteries make heavy use of cobalt in the cathode, Tesla uses primarily nickel, which is trickier but has better energy density. Iron cathode cells, the LFP, are now competitive for stationary packs in mid-range cars, which is exactly what we talked about in the episode on Saturday. And an important point, the United States will then focus on actually processing these metals domestically into the battery components. And also remember that Tesla supplies batteries to Australia to store energy captured from rooftop solar panels, which shore up reliability in its energy network. Australia actually has the world's highest per capita density of rooftop solar panels, so it's a great symbiotic relationship. We also learned that Tesla's battery supplier CATL is planning a big battery plant in Shanghai, which would be continuing a blistering pace of expansion that will cement CATL's lead as the world's #1 supplier. Two people with knowledge of the matter said. Once again, I talked about CATL's domination in the video on Saturday. CATL hopes to rapidly expand that relationship with Tesla, aiming to become its biggest supplier in the near future by providing half of the battery cells Tesla uses globally in EVs and roof energy storage. The new plant should be able to make 80 gigawatt hours of battery cells annually, which would come on top of 69.1 gigawatt hours in current production capacity and another 77.5 gigawatt hours under construction. It was not immediately clear when a final agreement might be reached or when CATL hopes to have the new plant up and running. And of course, while more cell supply for Tesla is great, this will also add competitive pressure to Tesla's other battery suppliers in the region, like Panasonic and LG. And this plant is likely to be located south of Tesla's Shanghai factory in Lingyang, Pudong new area, and it should hire around 5,000 workers and manufacture the cell-to-chassis batteries. But cell-to-chassis is going to be different than Tesla's proprietary cell-to-pack, because with CATL's CTC tech, they're not aiming to launch this technology until about 2030. So I would say at the soonest we should expect this new plant to be up and running toward the end of 2022, perhaps with limited supply. Now, this tweet from Elon where he said, "Our biggest challenge is supply chain. This needs more attention, and I have been saying for months now that this decade, the metals and mineral supply chain is going to have serious implications for the EV market." From mining.com, we see Fitch upgraded their forecast for the nickel price that is on a long-term uptrend. And this is partly due to the fact that the global market remains in deficit. Nickel prices had progressed to multi-year highs on the back of increased optimism in the market, a weakening dollar, and bullish expectations about future nickel supply deficits. And an important reminder, Fitch also cited high-frequency indicators as hinting at slowing demand from China's stainless steel sector later this year, which will continue to be the dominant end-use demand driver for nickel in the short term. And remember, a shortage of Class 1 battery-grade nickel may encourage automakers to explore LFP batteries. That should sound familiar. Tesla is already doing this in a big way for mass-market vehicles, presenting downside risk to nickel demand for lithium-ion batteries. And I want to show you guys this chart chart of copper prices from mining.com that shows we may be at the beginning of a super cycle. So one of the ore grades for copper called porphyries, which is actually responsible for about 80% of the global supply of copper, is actually nearing a reserve cliff. In addition to this, there have been decades of underinvestment in exploration and development in the copper market, and there has been a complicated role of the scrap copper that have actually underpinned price expectations for a long time. So this chart not only shows some correlation between copper and oil prices, and with it broader inflation, but also with nationalization and privatization trends for natural resource assets through the decades. So a reminder to keep an eye on the price of copper over the next 5 years, as it is a crucial metal to the electrification revolution. So from a French article translated to English, the Renault Zoe has been dethroned for the month of May by the Model 3. There were so many people saying that the cheaper Renault Zoe was going to crush the Model 3 due to a few months of data where it had higher sales figures, but this trend has been reversed in May. As you can see, the Model 3 sold about 8,000 registrations and the Renault did about 7,400. So just 1 month of data, but we'll see how this progresses, especially with Giga Berlin coming online shortly. In case you missed it, a Tesla owner in China issued a public apology on social media and admitted to staging a brake failure incident with his Model X. The EV owner remarked that the TikTok skit, which was supposed to show a Model X brake failure incident, was for entertainment purposes only. Apparently it was this guy in the middle. And the Tesla China legal department is getting more serious on cracking down on these FUD efforts by creating a Weibo account, which is similar to Twitter. A user on Reddit shared the first supercharger is opening in Tasmania, which would be the first V3 supercharger in Australia. And a Reuters article says Ford could be facing $1.3 billion in new penalties from transit imports. This would be from a long-running dispute over import duties paid on Ford Transit Connect vehicles. Basically what happened here, Ford designed, marketed, sold, and delivered this van to consumers exclusively as a two-person cargo van. But to avoid the higher rate of duty that applies to cargo vans as compared to vans just designed for passenger transport, they imported each Transit Connect with a temporary cheap rear seat that was designed to be immediately removed as soon as the van cleared customs. So it sounds like Ford was trying to cut some corners. We'll see how this one plays out. But that's all for today. Please like this video if you did, and a big thank you to everybody on the next screen. I hope that you have a great day.